Erin Brockovich, joining us now to talk more about the situation unfolding there in East Palestine. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, your initial thoughts as you've watched all this play out over the last several weeks?
Oh my gosh. I could tell you from my perspective, working on these issues for 30 years, it's total frustration. I can't even begin to understand how frustrated and angry and upset the community must be. I've never seen anything quite like this. There's been such a slowed response. I mean, the train derailment happened, February 3rd? Norfolk took over at that point, and any and all information that was coming out and what was going on, they hemmed and hawed for days. They dug a big hole, unlined. They bled out all the liquid chemicals into that hole. Then they lit it on fire, which is very concerning. You just now really set it up to contaminate an entire aquifer for decades. And then you light a volatile compound like vinyl chloride on fire that creates dioxins, and it just rains out on the community. And there's a window where nobody seems to know anything or talking about it. No agencies in particular are showing up. Where is the federal EPA? It was being handled very unusually. And the people, which is my biggest concern, were in total frustration in a very conflicted message. Evacuate, it's safe to come back, shouldn't drink the water. You can drink the water, everything's fine, there's no problem. And it's like these people lived and experienced this moment, and they're still suffering from it. They're still sick from it, and they're terrified for their future. And nobody can seem to really give them an honest answer about what happened, what's going to happen to them, and what to expect.
And you're very well known, there's no question there. So what made you specifically want to step into this situation here?
It's never about me deciding to step in. When these situations the community contacts me. I was getting emails as early as 4:50 a.m. on the 4th from the community. There's been a train derailment. It's on fire. There's chemicals in it. What's happening? What should we do? And it just built and escalated from there till, the community really said, please, we would like your advice. We would like you to come in. What should we do? So that's the first and foremost reason, always why I respond, is these people are frightened, uncertain what's going to happen. There's been chemicals involved, train derailment. And so that is my first response, is for them. Oftentimes that requires us coming out and having a town hall meeting. There is so much information to be giving these people, not only about what happened, and we have kind of a teaching moment here, if you will, because agencies have been handling over and over and over again these environmental disasters kind of in the same way. All's clear, everybody go home, gets forgotten about it, but oops, 5-10 years into the future, we have a huge contamination, chemicals that are associated with cancers, the community is sick. We have a moment here now, moving forward, how much information these people need. This is going to be groundwater monitoring for decades. This will be soil vapor intrusion monitoring for decades. It should be the monitoring of the public health and the welfare and their future. So it's not like this is one and done. What's happened to their homes, their property values? Can they grow their food? And so we've talked about it over the past few days. I don't even like to make a correlation here, but 9/11, when all those towers came down, all those chemicals that spilt out, everybody knew, oh my gosh, what have we inhaled? What are we breathing? What's our future? But it was supposedly safe. And here we are today dealing with all these problems. This can be prevented. And that's what I would like us to start focusing on. We're going to have to help build back and repair this community and keep them in close watch, because nobody, and it's a misinformation if anyone tells you it's safe today and it will be fine tomorrow. That's just not how these situations work out. What's safe today is probably going to be contaminated tomorrow. And this isn't a one fix. This is going to be years and decades in the making of following up, monitoring, and stopping the contamination they've caused. How far it will go still needs to be found out. and what, most importantly, we can do for these people and how they will be monitored in the future.
And I'm not sure if you can see this on your screen, but the video that's been circulating showing the governor there taking a sip of the water in East Palestine. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Yeah, very, very frustrating. And it's kind of what we've been talking about here today. I mean, it's a moment. These environmental disasters aren't a moment. They're a big story, and one that will continue to march on. So you have to understand a lot about water. So this is municipal water, which is one system. Then you have people on private well waters that are oftentimes, they are unregulated. They're monitored by the household. They will have to do testing. But that day, the water could have been safe, but that doesn't mean that will be the conditions tomorrow. So we have a big amount of contaminants that is hitting the aquifer now, and it will begin its movements. So I don't want to sit here and say they're lying. I don't have a lot of faith or trust in what I just saw, but it's a misrepresentation because groundwater moves, these chemicals move. You could have varying levels from one day to the next to a non-detect 2 parts per billion the next morning. So in that moment, maybe it was safe, but I think that's bringing people or lulling people back, possibly under a false pretense, knowing that that condition could change tomorrow.
Tell me how this town hall is going to work. I believe it's on Friday. What does it consist of?
So it will consist of, again, a lot of information for them. This community will become their own citizen science, if you will. They are the ears and the eyes of what happened to them. We'll want to hear from them, but we want to bring in doctors, toxicologists, people who understand chemicals, people who understand fate and transport, where this water will go, how long this problem could be. A lot of them definitely want to know their legal rights. Let's be honest here at this point. I don't think, anybody is going to run out to buy a home there. They worry about their property values. They worry about what's happened to their animals. So we're going to have everybody there that can answer those questions as honestly as possible. And sometimes that means saying, I'm not certain. And this is what I've learned about communities. And it's a really important message, if you will. Sometimes the truth of these situations is very scary. The future of the situation for them is very scary, but they need to know exactly that, whether they want to hear it or they don't want to hear it, because if you don't let them know what's coming, they can't plan, they won't be prepared, they can't protect their public health and welfare. And so that is precisely at our town hall. They're going to get all that information. They'll learn about their legal rights. We're going to let them know about these chemicals, what can happen with these chemicals. One chemical can turn into another, what testing should be done for, what they can do about it, and how they can protect themselves in the position they're in, and how we move forward. And that's something that's really important. And they will process that. Oftentimes they're like, thank God, now I know something, now I can plan and prepare. But what they never deal with is a mistruth, or if they feel they're being lied to, they already don't trust the situation. So they'll get a lot of information on Friday at the town hall about all of it.
And my last question for you here is, what needs to be done? What should be done at this point?
Well, I mean, there's obviously remediation. I mean, there's so much. They're going to have to be down on the ground. There's a lot of information, how much and how many gallons of chemicals were put into that unlined hole. What is the water table? What is the location of the municipality wellheads? What's going to happen downstream? Are they going to start looking for soil vapor intrusion? There's a very high water table here. These chemicals will float on the top of the water as they go under the house. They can volatilize into the home. There's so much remedial action that they need to put into play. And as I said, this isn't a one-stop fix. This is going to be a long haul. I don't know if you're familiar with the train accident that happened up in Leroy, New York, decades ago. And about 8, 9 years ago, we were out there involved because the community members were sick, and we were still finding large amounts of contamination from that train derailment decades later in the water, in the soil, and in people's wells. So they need to mobilize quickly and be prepared to be here for the long haul. And I really be honest with people. There's a lot of chemicals yet that are unknown or haven't been tested for. Changes could happen. I can say to you today, they can say, maybe today we feel comfortable with you being here, but that could change tomorrow.
All right, Erin Brockovich, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here. Is there anything else that you want to add before I let you go?
Yeah, I'm so concerned about these environmental issues. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, and the same thing happened when I worked out in that small desert town and in every other town that I am across America, and here we are today. We have to look at a deeper systemic issue. We have to look at how we're handling these environmental issues. We can't afford to kick the can down the line. We can't afford to sweep it under the rug. I think that we really have to start looking at our aged out infrastructure. That means railroads, our piping, our water, all of it. So there is a deep issue here that we can't afford, whether you're a company or our government, to continue to kick a can down the line. We're going to have to stop and take that fork in the road and how we move forward and become more preventative, more proactive, and not just reactive once the disasters occurred.
All right, Erin Brockovich, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and talk about this.
Thank you for having me. You know, it's difficult because, as I said, there's a lot of information and a lot of things that are going to change between the time of the accident and 3 months and 5 weeks and 6 weeks. And I wish I could just say everything is going to be perfectly fine. I can't say that. History has shown me otherwise on too many other contaminated sites. This is yet to unfold, and this will be an ongoing story.